Hey everyone, and welcome to my next film about the Melbourne International Film Festival. We're here to discuss the sixth film I saw at the fest, and that was Good Boy, the film about a dog that can see ghosts in the corner of the room, and that is a good reason why I have good old beautiful Benny in the frame for this video. So, let's get into it. Benny want a treat? Yeah? Okay. Eat. Good boy. Good boy. So this movie has built up quite a bit of hype going into the fest. People have been saying that it is one of the saddest horror movies of the year, and a lot of people speculating about what happens to the dog. I think what Good Boy aims for, it manages to achieve, but I don't think it is overly ambitious as a film, and I was somewhat let down by it, even though I do think it is a good film. It just had built up so much hype that I do think it was overhyped as a whole. I think the film, as an exercise of following the perspective of a dog, is very impressive, and I think that is the best thing about this film. The way that the camera follows this dog, and it perfectly captures almost all of the things it's managing to think. It's really impressive having such a performance come out of a dog. It is at times having to do things that goes against its training, clearly. And the way it was able to do all of those things and fit it within this horror film, very well done, I thought. I think as a drama and a somewhat just sad film about depression, I think the film is a gut punch of a movie that manages to really work with all of its visual metaphors and the way it intertwines horror with its metaphors. I think that all of that stuff was fairly impressive as a whole. I think the mystery of it all is fairly interesting as these ghosts start popping up and they're following the human owner that the dog can see. It doesn't go as far as I'd like with the horror. I don't think it quite works as a horror. I don't think it's that scary of a film. There's a jump scare here and there that may work, but nothing overly crazy, nothing that had me on the edge of my seat like that. And I do think as a whole, this film won't have me thinking about it all that much. Some of the biggest detractors of this film have said that this perspective is just really a gimmick, and at times it can feel solely like that because the film isn't providing anything more than a lot of surface level things and a very interesting metaphor that plays out at the end of this film. I feel like the way that Good Boy is able to evoke some kind of mystery throughout its runtime is fairly interesting, but once again, it doesn't provide anything that deep. And once it provides its answer, I feel like the ghosts in this film stop becoming as scary as they could be. They don't look all that impressive. It is an indie film, so the visual effects aren't that high. And to have these kinds of creatures or ghosts in this world, you need to have somewhat better visual effects than what this film manages to provide. I think that detracts from it and makes it less scary as a horror film, but as something utterly depressing by the final minutes of this movie, it definitely provides that gut punch required and gives a somewhat satisfying answer to the mystery of it all. Some of the things don't tie well together in the third act, and it's really hard to discuss any of this stuff in detail without giving away the whole movie and spoiling it all for you, so that's why I'm being purposefully vague here. But this film has its moments. It manages to capture a really decent perspective. It has solid performances, an interesting gimmick. It's hard to justify whether it goes beyond that. But as a whole, Good Boy was a film that I was engaged for the entire time. It's not one that I was particularly passionate about. Sure, there were moments that reminded me of my own beautiful dog, but as a whole, this film isn't anything special, and I do think it is quite overhyped, despite the fact that I do think it is a good film as a whole. And as a score, I'm going to give Good Boy a 3.5 out of 5, because I think it's solid enough, and it is worthy of a recommendation. But don't go into this expecting one of the greatest horror movies of all time or anything like that, because it is not. And those are my thoughts towards Good Boy. If you've seen the movie, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.